Greetings and welcome to a special playoff installment of the Cox Sports Report, bringing the best of high school basketball highlights from Hampton Roads to you with Chris Park. I am Matthew Hatfield, and Chris, we're getting closer to the state championship games.
Well, Matt, it's always a special time of year for all the teams involved, and we start on the girls' side of things as it's Lake Taylor taking on Wilson. The Titans coming off a state championship last year, trying to make it a repeat this year.
To repeat, they've got to replace some of those stars like Fiona Fitzgerald, who's at Temple. And Wilson, they haven't been to the state final in 9 years. They fell to Forest Park that time, but they do have a lot of confidence after beating Lake Taylor at the Norfolk Scope in the conference championship.
You knew this game was going to be close throughout, and it starts with India McKinney hitting the jump shot in the corner, and the Titans off to a great start.
And McKinney, one of those standouts for Lake Taylor. And Wilson's got a couple of key players with Michaela Jones inside, as well as Mariah Coker, who had a big game in their win over Kings Fork to start regionals. As you see her going right in the paint at Lake Taylor's tough defense.
And the Titans mixed between a man and zone defense throughout in this one, and the Lady Presidents were able to get inside and get shots like this up and good for the Presidents, as that was Janine Camp with the two.
Yeah, Janine Camp, Coker, you see Tora Jones, Michaela Jones, a lot of firepower for Coach Roger Smith's Lady Presidents, and that one is dialed in for the Lady Presidents as they are out to a 12-7 lead through one quarter of play against Lake Taylor, but they will come back with that transition game spearheaded by Taylor Whitley.
When points are hard to come by, you definitely need to get easy baskets in transition like that for Whitley, and off the bounce, the free is up and good for the Presidents as they continue to hold on to the lead in the first half.
And it's India McKinney calling glass, and it's in. Coach Saunders Sawyer doesn't mind as long as she's getting the job done in the front court, and Lake Taylor can get it done from outside too. It's Carlisha Ferris dialing in a three-pointer.
The Titans trying to hang tough in the first half, and inside once more go the Lady Presidents off the glass and good for two, as that was Tora Jones with the bucket.
Tora Jones, one of those guards that Coach Smith counts on so much for production. And then here, Wilson very patient in the half court, and they get it to go again here as Wilson now starting to get things done offensively with Jones's basket. It's 19-18 in favor of the visiting Lady Presidents at intermission.
Second half action now. The Lady Presidents trying to keep it going in the corner on the way, up and good for three. And that was number 11, Tamara Harris, with the jump shot today.
And Wilson now starting to take control here, but India McKinney's going to have Lake Taylor come right back here on the drive, putting the ball on the floor, showing off her skills as the Lady Titans start to regain control with the fourth quarter upcoming, and McKinney again will go off the window.
Showing her worth to this Titans team as she once more leads the charge, and she's got to get some help from the outside as Kiara Cooper knocks down the triple. And just like that, the Lady Titans back in this one and giving Wilson all the game they need.
And Janine Camp inside for Wilson, showing off her strength. It's a tight ball game in the fourth quarter, and Lake Taylor with some fresher legs at the end, and it's Cooper on the drive. Wilson having to use those legs for that comeback win against Monacan, where they were down by 10 in the fourth quarter the night before, and the Lady Titans trying to protect their home court. Right there, though, it is Coker off the glass for two.
Going down to the wire, unfortunately for the Lady Presidents, it does not end their way as Lake Taylor takes the victory 44-39. And we see India McKinney with a game-high 18 points, and she was joined by Taylor Whitley with 9. Coker and Jones, 9 and 8 for Wilson.
Well, Chris, we see Lake Taylor winning their first regional title. They won a couple of state championships before. How about the Norcom boys as they play host to Glen? The Jaguars, a relatively new school now, and Coach Leon Goolsby, he's familiar with winning a couple of state championships, winning back-to-back with Dorian Finney-Smith in that group.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that long ago, Matt, and some new players emerging for Norcom, as that was Troy Locke, the regional player of the year with the jumper, and the Greyhounds off to a good start.
And Glen, though, with some weapons of their own. Grayson Medulla, the 6'3" junior, he was named Conference Player of the Year, showing off his skills, but Norcom's got talent on the perimeter with Locke and Antonio Parker hitting the outside jumper.
Tough shot for Parker, and he's going to get some help from his teammates inside. The bucket for Travis Ingram, the heralded freshman for the Greyhounds, gets the 2.
We'd see Ingram make his presence felt offensively and defensively. And how about the defense by Locke with the block, leading to the break the other way, and the finish with the ferocious flush by Parker.
Glen Allen, though, not going away as a sweet-looking jump shot on the baseline for Derek Johnson nets them the 2.
And the reserve there, Johnson, but Locke, he's going to be hot here with the three-point shot, really carrying that Norcom offense along with Parker early on as they missed their starting point guard, Travis Fields, out with the injury, and Ingram getting in on the act too.
Nice job with the left hand by the freshman as Glen Allen trying to hang tough in this first half. Gets a little luck off the glass as that 2 is put in by Trayshawn Blackson.
And it's 14-8 after 1 quarter of play. Chris, Norcom holding on to the lead, and Glen Allen would come right back, but Troy Locke's got to be stopped as he's starting to take control for Norcom, showing his array of moves and his mid-range jump shooting.
Medulla, though, gets inside with a scoop shot and score as Glen Allen trying to keep it close in the first half. But as you mentioned, Locke is key for the Greyhounds in this one as he knocks home yet another mid-range jumper.
Hitting the shots of high difficulty. And then it's Ingram on the drive and dumping it off to Kenneth KJ Duke for 2 as Norcom's front line starting to get involved here late in the first half. And this time the ball is lost here. There's Blackston with the steal. He's up the other way and gets it to go off the glass for Glen Allen as the Jaguars try to close the half strong.
A tough move by Blackston there. Now he finds himself open on the perimeter. He'll drive inside with the left hand, gets the friendly roll, and just like that, the Jaguars are back in this one against the Greyhounds. And for Norcom, you got to figure Locke is going to be key in the second half as they lead by 5.
Absolutely, a 25-20 lead. Coach Stein and Glen Allen knowing he needs that supporting cast to help out Medulla, Trey Pry, Blackston and company. But Antonio Parker starting to get hot, and so too is the freshman Ingram. Look at the gorgeous move up and under inside for the Greyhounds.
Running and gunning now, the Jaguars get an easy layup opportunity as Blackston converts again. And now only trailing by 6 going into the final stanza. You know it's going to be Norcom trying to put the pressure on Blackston, but he's going to get free for a jump shot and knocks it home. And just like that, it's a 4-point game.
Glen Allen new to the playoff scene, but not frightened at all. And Locke, though, every time Glen Allen gets close, he comes up with an answer. And how about Glen Allen with the drive there by Colin Dwyer, keeping the Jaguars in it.
Blackston, nice up and under, gets inside, and just over the outstretched arms of Ingram, gets another basket.
Just like you want it to be in a championship game, big shot making, and how about some defensive plays too, as Blackston gets a steal, but Ingram coming back with a rejection.
Made sure not to miss that one as he was unable to get the block on the last attempt. Now Locke inside with the beautiful floating shot, gets it to go, and Norcom survives with a 4-point victory over Glen Allen, 52-48. Troy Locke, a team-high 19 points for the Greyhounds. Trayshawn Blackston, a game-high 23 points to lead Glen Allen.
So Norcom boys and Lake Taylor girls home regional championships. How about the Maury boys and Princess Anne girls? That's coming up next on Sports Report. Back here on Sports Report with Chris Park, I am Matthew Hatfield. Well, the Maury Commodores are chasing their first regional title since 2003. It'll be no easy task to get the job done as they take on the defending state champion Henrico Warriors at Churchland High School in Portsmouth. This ought to be a good one, Chris.
It certainly should be, Matt, and Maury has plenty of experience in this sort of competition with their head coach, Jack Baker, obviously one of the greatest coaches in Virginia high school history, and it should be an exciting matchup between these two teams.
Baker seeking win number 695 in his illustrious career. No state title yet, though, as he's trying to get closer. Vance Harmon's group won a state title a season ago. Only returned a couple of key players from that team, though, in sophomore DeMonte Buckingham and junior shooting guard Ryan Pearson, who we'll get to in just a moment. And the opening tap will be won by Maury with their freshman Matt Coleman at the point leading the way.
Yeah, you don't normally see a freshman listed as a captain, but for the Commodores, Matt Coleman is all that and more as the early basket is up and good for Keon Buchanan.
The Green Run transfer back at his old school Maury now. Henrico's got the basketball, trying to drive it with Ryan Pearson, and his jumper is good. A 4.7 GPA for Mr. Pearson.
Someone is an overachiever as Jack Baker looking on as the Maury Commodores trying to do it with defense, and a nice drive is going to lead to a free throw shooting opportunity as that was Marquise Johnson heading the line for 2.
Coach Harmon's attack predicated on that dribble drive, similar to what Kentucky likes to do, and as his team always has guards that can get to the basket and penetrate, and Henrico getting to the foul line early, which will be key against Maury, out to a 9-5 lead midway through the first quarter.
The freshman Coleman gets inside with a nice crossover dribble and comes up short, but a great rebounding display here by Ant Williams as he pads his stats a little bit and finally gets it to go for 2.
The sophomore forward with 6 offensive rebounds, very critical. And then at the Hornets, Pearson throwing it in from another area code. How about that shot?
I think he shot that from Henrico, Matt, as that is a nice omen for the Henrico team as they take the early first quarter advantage. And both teams knowing this one is going to be intense throughout. And going into the second quarter, it's again the dribble drive leading to the opportunity and the basket for Jordan English with a little English off the rim.
Yes, it is. The former Highland Springs guard with the drive there for the Warriors as they try to weather the storm by Maury. They would get hot in the second quarter. Mike Bassnight finds an open guy in the corner for three, and it's Davon Young as the Commodores trying to shoot Henrico out of that triangle and two.
When you're going against a zone defense like that, you've got to be able to make open shots. But again, dribble drive opportunities abound for Walter Williams with the two.
And then it's Ryan Pearson misses on that shot, but the rebound will be grabbed by David Reed up ahead to Matt Coleman. He'll pull up from three-point land. It's in.
Good shot for the freshman as he's definitely not playing like one in this one. Coleman now in the corner looking down low. The pass can be knocked away. That zone defense picking it up, but Coleman comes up with a little defensive effort there, looking like a free safety for the Commodores. Comes away with the steal and sets up the alley-oop for the easy dunk for Jaleel Ferguson.
Oh, this guy is as cool as a cucumber. Taking a look at it, the no-look alley-oop feed to Jaleel Ferguson, who throws it down, and the fans would explode.
I got to say my favorite part is the flop on the attempted charge attempt by the Henrico player, but Coleman again with the steal, going coast to coast behind the back, and with the left hand, up and good.
Easy to see why he already has offers from UVA, Virginia Tech, Old Dominion, and Miami as Coach Jeff Jones of ODU and assistant Jason Williford of UVA were in attendance. There's Anthony Williams, a sophomore. He's got a chance to be another next-level prospect. He gets it to go, and then Henrico with the drive again by Williams.
Williams getting inside for the easy basket, but an offensive rebound opportunity is up and good for Ferguson. As Henrico realizing now that they're in some trouble, getting the ball inside for a second chance opportunity is good for Claude Clark, and Henrico's all-alliteration team is keeping them in it.
Didn't look like Coach Harmon was happy there as his team is going to see the clock just dribble out here, and they'll be headed to play in the state semis against Wakefield, while Maury will end up taking off Potomac in the state semis. They win it 61-49 behind a balanced effort led by Matt Coleman's performance, the freshman point guard with 15 points, 5 assists, Jaleel Ferguson with 12 points, 7 rebounds, Anthony Williams with 10 points and 7 rebounds, while DeMonte Buckingham led Henrico with 12 points and 9 boards.
And one last highlight package for you as Princess Anne taking on Highland Springs in the girls action. As we take a look at this one, Princess Anne, of course, no stranger to tournament competition, taking on a Highland Springs team, trying to spring the upset.
It's the drive for 5 of them said all year for Coach Darnell Dozier, Chris, and Princess Anne trying to win their 5th state championship under Coach Dozier. And both Highland Springs and Princess Anne coming in with only 1 loss on the season, that to Cosby, an undefeated favorite in Group 6A, as these two teams could meet again in the state final.
Certainly they want to get the best out of both teams, and the opening tip will be won by the Cavaliers as they look to set up their offense. And Matt, this team is kind of different from years past, not as strong as usual teams like Elizabeth Williams, but they still have a lot of championship pedigree as that early basket for Highland Springs gets them too.
Yeah, Najee Pollard with the basket inside for Highland Springs, but Coach Dozier's team's going to lean on its defense, and right now their guard looking to go inside with Janela White on the feed from Justice Swingo. Shot off the mark, and Highland Springs coming up with some key defensive rebounds in the early going.
Those are certainly not going to like that missed easy bunny, and certainly not going to like the lackadaisical defense that leads to the easy basket for Winfield and the Farm.
The 5'9" senior guard getting it done for Highland Springs. And now look at this one right there on the dish to Tia Bird as the 5'5" senior guard gets something to fall for Highland Springs. But you know Princess Anne will answer, and right there it's Mercedes Tapia with the deuce.
Mercedes goes hard to the basket, and Princess Anne back into this one. As against that zone defense, they find some cracks, and that leads to the easy basket with the left hand.
Justice Swingo, she's going to college at Charleston to play her hoops at the next level, one of the senior leaders for PA, and this time the foul will be committed here as you see some tumbling going on here on the hardwood at Churchland High. 3-point shot off the mark for Highland Springs. They try to save it here, and this time they get the ball inside for 2, and it is drilled in by the freshman Jennifer Coleman.
Coleman, who did some tumbling on the last possession, gets the basket there, and Coach Dozier certainly trying to instill in his troops that championship effort, and it should be an exciting rest of the way for Princess Anne as they're going to step up the defense, and that leads to a turnover and an easy fast break opportunity for Edley Drawhorn.
The sophomore puts it in, and it's now an 11-point lead for Princess Anne in the second quarter. Just trying to get on that run to demoralize Franklin Harris's Lady Springers, and there's the defense with the deflection and the steal as another player goes down for PA Tapia. Now it's Drawhorn on the drive, off the mark, but you got someone to clean it up there to garbage. It's Janela White and also Aaliyah Kennedy, the junior, for 2.
collective effort for the Cavaliers team this year, as Highland Springs is in some trouble now, trying to settle down offensively, get it set in the half court. It's going to lead to a contested jumper off the mark and still loose, and that brings up a jump ball, and you can see Princess Anne really ratcheting up the intensity, trying to put Highland Springs away early.
And Highland Springs missing one of its key players, Chris, and Bria Justice, the Delaware State commit, went down with an injury, and that really handcuffed their lineup and backcourt rotation for Coach Harris.
And that's something that comes into play in these tournament situations, Matt, is injuries and luck. And right now, luck is on the side of Princess Anne, as again, the easy basket for Drawhorn underneath, and Highland Springs facing that relentless pressure is going to lead to an easy turnover and an easy left-hand layup for Godiva Hubbard.
Yeah, Hubbard, one of those key players for Princess Anne, the Conference Player of the Year for PA, and you see right now the talent just keeps, they reload at Princess Anne, never going to see any drop-off there, and another basket made by Drawhorn as Princess Anne starting to pull away against this talented Highland Springs team in the second half.
And just too much defensive work inside, but Highland Springs does find a sliver of hope as Sierra Crudup hits the jumper, and now Princess Anne trying to run out the clock, and they will do so as they capped off an impressive performance against Highland Springs, winning by 22, and what was certainly a dominating effort throughout.
And Princess Anne now moving their record to 26-1 on the campaign. Highland Springs falling to 23-2 overall. You see Hubbard with 18 points, Tapia with 17. How about Swengo? 14 points, a perfect 10 of 10 from the foul line. You don't see that often these days, while Crudup and Bird had 14 apiece for the Lady Springers.
And Matt, some great action we've seen so far, and it really kind of held the form for the most part. Lake Taylor and Princess Anne girls winning their games.
Yeah, we see teams winning regional championships, and coming up next, Chris, we'll take a look at those playoff matchups, try to break them down a little bit right here on Sports Report. Welcome back to the Cox Sports Report. Alongside Chris Park, I am Matthew Hatfield. And Chris, we've seen some teams win some regional championships. We've also seen some standout performances this year, and we got now our Player of the Week.
Yeah, Matt, let's take a look at this week's Player of the Week. It goes to Marcus Carter of Bruton High School. 25 points in the victory over Prince Edward in overtime, and 19 points in the blowout victory over Brunswick. Certainly a noticeable performer, Matt.
And Carter helping Bruton revenge that loss to Brunswick from earlier in the season. Our notebook on the boys basketball playoff action around Hampton Roads. Green Run boys had a fine season, 22-5 overall, eliminated by the Maury Commodores in the 5A South Region Tournament semifinals. 3 of those 5 losses to Maury. Paula 6 edging Cape Henry in the VISAA Division I State Championship, handing the Dolphins their first and only loss of the season for nationally ranked Cape Henry. An outstanding year for them, just falling short of that state title. And no Peninsula boys teams marching on to the state tournament for the first time since 2010.
And the girls' side, the Maury girls, 22-5, eliminated by Princess Anne 49-37 in the 5A South Region Tournament semifinals, and Williamsburg Christian falling to Miller 48-43 in the VIS State Championship. And one more, Lake Taylor's Sandra Sawyer named the 4A South Region Coach of the Year.
We've got some great coaches. She's certainly one of them in Hampton Roads.
The 6-8 state semifinals, the boys' side, Lansdowne will take on WT Woodson at Robinson, and Colonial Forge will take on Lake Braddock at VCU. Matt, what do you think about those matchups?
Well, Colonial Forge probably the favorite at this point, Chris. They've won 23 in a row, including beating Lansdowne in the regional championship game with 5 junior starters in their squad. Lake Braddock's got some great size. Lansdowne with a dominant big man and the 6'8" junior center Darius Bolstead, but they'll have their hands full with junior point guard Eric Bowles of Woodson, which finished 2 wins shy of a state title just a season ago. 6A is really wide open on the boys' side.
On the girls' side, Bethel taking on Stonewall Jackson, and Cosby taking on West Springfield. Bethel, the local team in the area, what do you think about their chances?
Really a surprise year for them under Coach Johnson there, Roy Johnson at Bethel, with Keely Foster and Brittany Bryson leading the way for Bethel. But Cosby is clearly head and shoulders the best team in this field, undefeated at 24-0, led by the Georgetown commit Dorothy Adamico. Hard to see them losing. In
the 5A state semis, it's Henrico taking on Wakefield, and Maury against Potomac. Maury, we saw them in action today. What do you think about their chances coming out of there?
Well, Maury Potomac, we said all year long, would probably meet in the state championship, ranked #1 and #2 in the state in 5A. We get it in the semifinal round. This has the makings to be a classic showdown. They met 2 years ago in the Virginia Preps Classic over at Virginia Wesleyan with Maury winning. This one might go down to the last shot. I give a slight edge to Potomac. Wouldn't be surprised to see Maury winning. In Henrico Wakefield, I got the Warriors winning.
Either way, it should be exciting matchups in both games. And the girls' side, Highland Springs taking on Edison and Princess Anne taking on Mount Vernon. And Princess Anne, no stranger to this tournament. They're going for win #5 in states. What do you think about their chances here, Matt?
After the way they beat Highland Springs, and with Bree Justice not 100% for Highland Springs, perhaps I see Princess Anne marching on to the final and getting the job done right now. They're just the best team defensively and clicking on all cylinders.
4A states, Glen Allen taking on Hanley and Norcom against GW Danville. Norcom Greyhounds back in the spotlight once more. Matt, what do we think about their chances?
A lot of people thought Norcom got a break by having Heritage and Nan's River not make the field, and Coach Goolsby's team starting to peak at the right time, led by Troy Locke. I see Norcom possibly moving on to the state final, where they would probably run it up against Hanley, led by Wofford commit Cameron Jackson in the front court.
The girls' field, Wilson taking on William Fleming and Lake Taylor against Loudoun County. So we could have a matchup in the championship game between Lake Taylor and Wilson. What do you think about that?
That would be the 5th meeting between those two, and Lake Taylor's won, what, 3 of the 4 so far? I would lean with the defending champ. Until you beat them in the playoffs, that's the team to beat, and Lake Taylor's playing awful good defense.
3A states, John Marshall taking on Lord Bonatort and George Wyeth taking on Spotswood. What are your thoughts on those games?
I think the 2 runner-ups in Spotswood and John Marshall might be the 2 best teams on the boys' side. Spotswood was 28-0 until they lost to Lord Bonatort in a game where they got down 23 and outscored them by 20 in 2 minutes, just fell short of that comeback. John Marshall's got a lot of size and talent. Remember, they lost to Cape Henry in overtime in the Virginia Preps Classic. They're my pick to win it.
The girls' side, Central Woodstock against Spotswood and Huguenot versus Broadway. Matt, not a lot of viewers will be familiar with those teams, but what should they know about them?
Spotswood probably the slight favorite there, and Huguenot, or Central Woodstock rather, kudos to them in the tournament for the first time since 1996, kind of the surprise entry.
Brunswick against Dan's River in 2A state, and Bruton taking on Martinsville. Bruton, again, another local team. They have a good shot at winning this?
They do, a very, very good shot, but they might have to beat Dan River, who's the only undefeated public or private school boys team in the state, in the final.
East Rockingham versus Gate City in the girls' side, and Brunswick taking on Central Wise at VCU. And finally, in the 1/8 state semis, it's Surrey versus Radford and Alta Vista versus Galax, both in Salem. And on the girls' side, Colonial Beach taking Honaker and Alta Vista taking on Chowari at Salem Civic Center.
And Chris, you can take it to the bank. If Alta Vista and Radford do not meet in the state final, I'll buy you dinner.
Hey, all right, how about that? Well, for Matt Hatfield, I'm Chris Park. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week with more highlights on the Cox Sports Report.